Hello and welcome to another StarCraft 2 co-op video. Today we'll be looking at the best Alarak build order that you aren't doing. Shout out to Primal Hive tier member Kimmel Pronger for this video. If you would like to request a video, check out the links in the description.
Not enough minerals.
Fancy seeing you here. Guess it's my lucky day. Dominion's hired me to destroy some trains carrying dangerous Mobius ordnance. Seeing as how Amon's a mutual enemy, maybe you'd like to step up to the plate. I could use a partner or two on this.
You have not enough minerals. You have not enough minerals. You have not enough minerals.
Must I compensate for your weakness? Try to stay out of my way. The enemy dares to attack our base. So goes the chain of ascension. So shall it tear in the diamonds. Oh, this will be easy. Serve me. Of course I am.
One of the trains is leaving its station now. Destroying it is your main objective.
None shall escape me. As I desire.
Let's take a look at the build order again. The 21, 22, 23 part and the 335, 435, 535 part make this build order a bit easier to remember. This new build order is superior to the one on StarCraft2coop.com mainly because the SC2 Co-op one isn't detailed enough. I used to use this build a lot and I've had success with it. However, its problem is that it doesn't include the most important part of the new build, which is expo gas timings. In runs that I've done on OE, I improvised the timings, which have led to mixed results. Note that you can also make the Nexus at 154 with this build. However, you will need to stop probe production at 18 or 19 to get 400 minerals. This new build is based on ProberOL's build, which you can find in the description. His build is actually better than the new build, but it involves a lot of extra steps. You have to remember more timings, such as when to send a probe to the expo to get gases started and when to add a third worker onto gas. Frost is a high-level Korean player. He uses a similar build. He and ProberOL actually duel together often, so they probably learn a lot from each other. Note that after Cybercore, you can go Robo if you want. Derivative is another high-level Alarak main in the Chinese community. His build is different because he puts 4 on the top left gas right away, which I don't recommend early on. This build also transfers a lot more workers than the previous builds, resulting in fewer than 14 workers on minerals in the main. As you'll see in the statistics later, this is not recommended. His second opening is for massing destroyers. It's very different from the others, but I thought it was interesting, so I decided to include it. This build order allows you to get the mothership pretty early without sacrificing too much eco. I don't know why he put 10 points in chrono though, maybe to offset the slower eco. The point of the fast mothership is to get more destroyers, since you're often limited by cooldown rather than money. Oddly enough, while I was analyzing my new build, it can actually get the mothership around the same time as this build on screen by not building the gateway and cybercore. So you can still get a 350 mothership with the new build. Now let's take a look at the differences in these builds. For these value calculations, I will look at how many resources the player has accumulated by the 6-minute mark. I chose 6 minutes because this is when Alarak is fully saturated and build orders start to vary based on the mutators. And players will start to take losses from this point, making builds harder to compare. In all these builds, the players have at least 18 probes on minerals in the main and 13 in the expo, 3 probes on each gas. They have at least 44 out of 54 supply, and all of these units are probes. Since each player has the same basic buildings, they aren't included in the comparisons. Note that there will be slight variations due to pause timings, location of expo and buildings, worker movements, missing probe production for a few seconds, etc. This is the base build, the one that I'm most familiar with. How can the same build have 2 very different gas amounts? You'll see later. ProberOL's build. The build order shown earlier is the second one. In the first one, he had to get an earlier mothership to deal with Just Die heroes. His build orders have slight variations, but I didn't include them here. You can check them out directly via the links in the description. Frost's build. His build is similar to ProberOL's, but had different results. I think he may have cut probes to get an earlier mothership. Derivative's build. As you can see, going below 14 workers in the main when transferring workers is not a good idea. The second build only gets 1 expo gas before 6 minutes. This build is not meant to be economically superior to his first build. And lastly, my new build. It's more or less ProberOL's build with minor tweaks. I know I missed probe production for a few seconds in the second attempt, so that could have been a few extra minerals. But overall, these builds aren't very different. Now the question is, where do these differences come from? The answer? Expo gas timing. This is the time that the assimilators in the natural are built, not when the probes start mining. As you can see, getting gas earlier doesn't affect mineral gathering rates too much. ProberOL's second run gets expo gases at 3:05. This is so that they finish at 3:35, which is around the time the expo nexus is done. This way, you can start mining gas immediately. But to make sure that he gets enough minerals too, he puts 2 workers on each gas for a minute or so, then adds a third worker later. Frost had workers, more than 1, walking around building structures, so they weren't mining. Derivative got his expo gases early in his regular build. He also put 4 probes in one of the gases. And in my new build, I got the gases at 3:35. Why 3:35 and not 3:05 like the best build shown? Because this new build simplifies ProberOL's actions. Instead of remembering 3 different times for 3 different actions, I do them all at once. It takes about 15 seconds for the workers to get to the natural. So transferring workers at around 3:20 means they'll arrive right when the nexus finishes at 3:35. I put 3 probes on gas once the assimilators are done, which is what people normally do anyway. It's a small sacrifice for convenience. Instead of rallying all new workers to the natural, it's better to transfer workers while maintaining saturation in the main. This can and should be used for every commander if you want to optimize your play. You aren't doing much in the beginning anyway. Getting expo gases earlier doesn't impact mineral income that much. In conclusion, use ProberOL's build if you want to maximize eco. If you don't want to remember all those timings, use my new build. I'll show them here once more. And that's it for this lesson. Help me out by liking, subscribing, and leaving comments. Thanks to all the members who are supporting me. If you would like to join and get early access to all videos, check out the link in the description. And while you're here, why don't you check out the guide on the best Kerrigan build order that you're not doing? See you there!